Right now, on To The Point. A vacant office park will be Sacramento's next homeless shelter. How it's going to work. President Biden calling Saturday's Hamas attack on Israel the deadliest day for Jews since the Holocaust.
The sights, the sounds, and the smells are unimaginable.
What the administration is now planning to do. And why the government might actually be done raising interest rates. Good evening. This is To The Point. I'm Alex Bell. Back in March, Governor Newsom promised 350 tiny homes for the city of Sacramento. He said they could be ready this fall, but now they won't be delivered until sometime next year. Rebecca Habegger joins us with more on where these will go and how this will work.
Yeah, Alex, there's good news and bad news. The bad news is those 350 tiny homes or sleeping cabins are not yet ready to help our growing homeless population here in Sacramento. The good news, today the mayor announced a specific plan for half those homes.
It doesn't look like much now, but in coming months, this empty field along Stockton Boulevard near 65th Street will become a safe stay community with 175 tiny homes or sleeping cabins for the unhoused.
We are laying a foundation here for real change, and today is the beginning.
Sacramento Mayor Darrell Steinberg says the safe stay community is through the partnership between Sacramento City and County. He's pushing for a groundbreaking to prepare the site by the end of the year. It was back in March when Governor Newsom promised 350 tiny homes to the city of Sacramento. At the time, he said the structures could be ready as soon as the fall, but the state won't be able to deliver them until sometime next year.
I know everyone asks about timelines. What's next? When are we going to actually see the tiny homes here? And the answer is soon.
There's a bigger vision here at this site. The Safe Stay community will be just one part of a 13-acre community wellness campus, transforming long, empty buildings originally designed as a shopping center. Here, WellSpace Health will develop and operate wraparound services for the unhoused and others in need, as CEO Dr. Jonathan Porteous explains.
We've heard about this property being vacant, being abandoned. It has been. It's more than a decade. I think it's about 15 years. These buildings have really great bones, but they've been here a long time. Many of the people we serve have been abandoned. Many of them have been untouched for 15 years. Many of them have huge potential, have good bones, but they've not been given the opportunity. Many of us have watched people suffer for too long.
He wants to see this community wellness campus heal people and says some of the services will be up and running by next summer.
And Becca, just to clarify, so Newsom promised 350 tiny homes. Half are going to that South Sacramento site, the other half Cal Expo?
Yeah, Alex, the mayor officially confirmed that for us today. He says 175 tiny homes, or again, sleeping cabins really is what they are, will be installed somewhere on the Cal Expo campus. I asked him when, but he didn't have any additional information to share about that or exactly where at Cal Expo they'll go.
And we'll be keeping our eye on him. Thanks, Becca. And Sacramento County's first tiny home site, the one at Florin and Power Inn Road, has been open since August. The site can house 125 people, but it's only at half capacity right now. Tonight, a Sacramento County supervisor will be staying there with his dog. We asked the supervisor, Patrick Kennedy, why.
What it's going to feel like for safety and security and the services that we're providing. I'll actually see them, myself and not just hear about it in briefings.
And as we've reported on To The Point, these sleeping cabins sat empty for months over material delays and other issues. So far, the county says 61 people live there, along with 16 pets. The homeless issue is expanding in Sacramento County. Earlier this month, an unhoused person was stabbed during a fight in a community park bathroom in Folsom. Last night, Folsom City Council met for hours to discuss the concern. A man who identified himself as a Folsom resident and business leader had this to say.
It's time for us to start dealing harshly with this element that I'm talking about, not the person down on their luck that lost their job because of COVID and needs some halfway. I'm all for it. I'm happy to help pay for that. But I want something done to these people that are ruining our community with their constant criminal, violent behavior where it's getting dangerous.
Folsom police say they have responded to about 2,100 calls involving people experiencing homelessness. That's about 7% of all calls so far through mid-September. And the calls include trespassing, disturbance, and suspicious circumstance calls, in addition to welfare checks. And the city adds code enforcement cleaned more than 40 locations in Folsom in the last 3 months. In other news, a man who rescued a mother and child from a car that fell into the San Joaquin River has been found dead. So the family is identifying him as Gerardo Savante. Rescuers say that they were able to use a new robot to search for the man underwater. The crash happened just last night. A mom and her 5-year-old daughter were in a car that rolled over from the overcrossing, went down the embankment, hit a tree, and went into the river. And officials are calling Cervante a hero. The remains of a mountain biker have been found in Sierra County near Downeyville. Rescue crews say they started looking for him after he did not return home. His bike was found 100 feet below a trail on a ledge. His body was found further downstream. And a man found shot and killed under an overpass on Gerber Road over the weekend has been identified as 37-year-old Joshua Rash. A 60-year-old man has been arrested in connection to the death and is now facing a murder charge. Today marks day 5 of the Israel-Hamas war. President Biden is now calling Saturday's Hamas attack on Israel the deadliest against Jews since the Holocaust, reiterating that the U.S. stands with Israel as Israel Defense Forces continue their barrage on Gaza. As the crisis deepens in the Middle East, with Hamas and Israel Defense Forces continuing their attacks, the Biden administration saying they'll do whatever it takes to stand by Israel. President Biden spoke with Israel's prime minister again today and met with Jewish community leaders here in the U.S.
This attack was a campaign of pure cruelty, not just hate, but pure cruelty.
Vice President Kamala Harris's husband, Doug Emhoff, also addressing the group.
I know you're all hurting. The entire Jewish community is hurting. I'm hurting. We grieve with you. We stand with you.
In Israel, the Washington Post captured the acting U.S. ambassador to Israel getting emotional.
I'm just it's emotional being here as a mom, especially, and hearing the stories of children who were killed and abducted from here. The sights, the sounds, and the smells are unimaginable.
Israel's defense ministry released images of a cargo plane delivering what they say is the first shipment of munitions from the U.S. And the White House says more help is on the way. The Gerald R. Ford carrier strike group with several warships arrived in the region, and the Pentagon increased the number of American F-35 and F-15 warplanes in the Middle East, along with a replenishment for Israel's Iron Dome air defense system. And Secretary of State Antony Blinken landing in Israel Wednesday afternoon.
We lost 22 Americans. That number could still go up, and it probably will.
And tonight, at least 22 people have now been confirmed dead. U.S. officials are trying to track down at least 17 Americans that are missing. And there is growing concern that Hezbollah, a terrorist organization designated by multiple countries, including the U.S. and Israel, will open a second front to the conflict. The group is based in Lebanon and has already reportedly fired rockets into Israel from the north. And in the nation's capital today, a debate over who should be the next Speaker of the House. Majority Leader Steve Scalise received 113 votes, and Judiciary Chairman Jim Jordan came up short with 99 votes. But until Congressman Scalise wins a majority of the votes in the full House, he will not become Speaker. Scalise says the war between Israel and Hamas is giving urgency for the need for Republicans to elect a speaker.
The first order of business under Speaker Steve Scalise is going to bring a strong resolution expressing support for Israel.
Across the aisle, Democrats say they are frustrated. A government shutdown is still possible next month. Coming up onto the point, the government might actually be done raising interest rates. What that means for housing.
Well, I'm tracking another weather system on the approach. This one due in for the weekend.
And celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month, meet one local artist empowering youth in Woodland.
My ultimate goal right now is to really continue to create safe places on campus and in the community for young people to feel like they can be themselves.
It's October 11th, and there is snow in the Sierra. This drone video was sent to us by Palisades Tahoe. The resort got its first dusting of the season overnight, and Palisades Tahoe says their ski season is scheduled to start on November 22nd. breathtakingly beautiful, Monica. Oh my gosh.
It is. And I bet a lot of people, like our producer, Rachel,
oh yeah,
is already getting excited about what's ahead.
She's probably already put her PTO in already to go. She stays snowboarding.
Yeah, she's going to be out there with a lot of people, I bet. As far as the precipitation, as you can see here, we got roughly about 1/10 of an inch or so, even just since midnight in parts of the foothills, including Auburn with 0.15 of an inch of rain, Placerville 4/100, and that is in addition to what we saw yesterday, even some snow, as you saw with those pictures up there for the high country. Another couple of weather systems in the offing here, and we're going to be tracking each one as it starts to approach. As far as right now, we've got those northwest winds, which dried us out pretty quickly here. They're going to stay with us through much of tonight with temperatures in the 60s. We'll finally see those lows drop down into the low 50s. Another chilly start to the day. 48 is where we started off today, 75 the high. Our season total is at about 1/10 of an inch of rain. We're a little bit behind average, but this time of year, it's really a wild shot if we're going to get any sort of rain coming in, cloud cover moving in towards the weekend forecast. And unfortunately, that's when we have that solar eclipse on Saturday. Starts at 8:05, ends at 10:43, and straight through that period, we're going to have the cloud cover. But if you do look up at it, you want to make sure you have those special glasses. Highs for tomorrow in the 50s for this year, 60s and 70s down the hill. As far as the coast, right around 70, inland areas in the 80s, and we have a fairly mild forecast for the next several days. Another slight chance for showers coming in on Monday for the foothills and the mountains. For our 10-day forecast, you'll see a bit of a warm up in store by next week, but we still have a couple more days feeling like fall, Alex.
All right, thanks, Monica. Next on To the Point, future interest rate hikes might be a thing of the past. And meet a local Hispanic muralist empowering youth in Woodland. Welcome back. There are more signs that the Federal Reserve might be done raising interest rates. Federal Reserve officials say that rates should stay high for some time to bring down inflation, but warn the country needs to proceed carefully on any future rate hikes. Leading real estate and banking groups are hoping that's the case. They sent a letter to the chairman of the Federal Reserve warning that any more interest rate hikes could raise the likelihood of a recession. Higher rates have led to surging housing costs amid an already historic shortage of available homes for sale. And there will be a Federal Reserve meeting later this month. And new tonight, Governor Newsom just signed a large package of housing-related bills aimed at streamlining new development. So in all, 56 bills were signed. One will even allow institutions like colleges and religious organizations to use their property to build housing. Governor Newsom said, quote, "It's simple math. California needs to build more housing and ensure the housing we have is affordable." And the Federal Trade Commission is proposing a new rule to ban junk fees. They say it could save consumers tens of billions of dollars, and this would impact things like event tickets and hotels. There is no timeline on when the rule could be finalized and go into effect. ABC 10 continues to celebrate and highlight contributions of our local Hispanic and Latin communities. So tonight, photojournalist Rachel Kim has a story of a Woodland-based artist, Elise Doyle Martinez, who uses art as a tool to guide and empower youth.
One of my students asked me the other day, "Miss Elise, what do you want to do when you grow up?" I said, "I think I'm doing it. I'm making the art I want to see. I just want to keep showing up stronger for myself and all the young people that come into my life." My name is Elise Doyle Martinez. I am an artist, educator, and advisor with Brown Issues here in Woodland, California. Growing up, my dad was very adamant about me becoming an artist. He would always buy me different tools and pencils and pads of paper just to sketch on and draw on. My mom, she was an educator and always involved in different Chicano movements and Chicano activism in the area. And so I got a very good upbringing from both of them in different ways. In the college where I majored in gender and women's studies with a focus on Chicano studies. I just wanting to know more about my family's history, where I come from, my just indigenous roots and the roots in Mexico. A lot of my work is influenced by political movements, by social movements, and it's always interesting for me to look back and have conversations with family or with friends about the fact that not a lot has changed. How are we continuing to push for change and for something better? When I moved back to Woodland, I really knew that I wanted to get into some sort of community work. Brown Issues is a youth leadership development organization statewide that focuses on cultivating the next generation of Brown leaders through healing, civic engagement, and narrative change. The brush angled this way. So my role in that is as an advisor here in Yolo County at Cache Creek High School.
This is now the third fatal shooting in Woodland in the last 4 months or so.
Between the end of 2019 and 20 going into 2021, there was a series of shootings and just community violence that was happening in Woodland, in Yolo County, and a lot of the young people that we work with, both at Cache Creek and at Chavez Community School, were being affected by that, whether they were experiencing that violence firsthand or their family members, their friends that were experiencing this. When we lose a young person in our community, it hits home for everyone. I'm here today to advocate for the need and implementation of a community healing and prevention task force. The community-based healing and prevention task force came about after having conversations with young people. It was really about addressing the social emotional health needs of the young people who were affected by this violence. Woodland was such a small town. There's not very much to do for young people. I don't think there's enough support to be able to express themselves, to share how they're feeling and what they're going through. So to have mentors and places where they feel safe enough to do that, and then creating art programming that's really interesting for them, that they want to be a part of, that would be my ultimate goal. At Cache Creek High School, I run their student support center. You want to keep going around these? A lot of the young people that I work with have had a lot of just adverse childhood experiences. And so one of the things that I've really been pushing them to do is to first see themselves in a more positive light. And what has helped with that is really looking at art that reflects them, their culture, where they come from, meeting people who come from the same backgrounds that they do. I think pushed them to want to change that for themselves. A lot of the artwork that we put up there at the school is meant to reflect that idea of culture and identity and forming a more positive identity of themselves. In the background, it's an indigenous symbol, so it's called Xochitl.
The feeling that I had on working with the project, it was actually really fun because I've also never participated in anything in high school before I got here, because I would always feel left out or something.
It was honestly a really fun experience to be able to leave my senior year and be I actually did something, participated in something at the school. Put a nice little spot in my heart, you know?
I really feel a part of the group because literally ever since I started coming into this classroom, it's just been like a warm hug.
I like this class a lot. It really represents what I am, Hispanic, and it really brings out the best of us. We can really talk about our issues here, and it's a good class.
The brush kind of dried up. There are things that art can communicate sometimes that you can't do with words. Art has the capacity to change the visual landscape of a community or of a space, but it also challenges the traditional narratives about those communities and about those spaces, and really builds a sense of pride among the people who live there.
And Elise and her students will showcase a special mural installation for Dia de los Muertos at Tana Art Gallery in Woodland. And it is meant to honor young lives lost to community violence, suicide, and fentanyl overdoses. If you want more information, make sure you visit our website, abc10.com/links. Coming up tomorrow on To The Point, cruising could soon be legal again across the state. It was banned in the 80s after being associated with gang culture and crime. But this car culture has a long history with Mexican Americans, the fight for equality during the Chicano movement, and is an important part of Chicano culture. Don't miss this story tomorrow on To The Point right here at 6:30. And coming up right after the break, preparing for the next big earthquake. If you've never experienced a large earthquake before, you actually missed your chance today to sit through a simulated one. The Office of Emergency Services rolled out their earthquake simulator in the downtown Commons area near Golden One Center. The shaking ranged from magnitude 3.0 to 7.0. And we don't know when the big one will hit, but emergency officials, they definitely want people to be prepared. An event called the Great ShakeOut will happen on October 19th, and many schools will have earthquake drills. The MyShake app is also expected to be tested on the 19th. It's an earthquake early warning app that was developed by UC Berkeley. And if you want to participate in the test, you need to download the MyShake app and then open it at least once. The app is free and available in your device's app store. Thank you so much for joining us. And if there is something you think we should be looking into, make sure you reach out to me and the team. Have a great night. I'll see you tomorrow. Hey, it's Alex. Just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. I really love hearing from everyone, and I hope that you'll stay in touch. Reach out to me on Facebook at AlexBellTV, or you can email me at tothepoint@abc10.com, or you can even send me a text message at 916-321-3310.